So today we are going to talk about the new authors that I read in 2022, and will I or did I pick up more books by them, and will I pick up more books by them going forward, or do you have recommendations of their books for me? Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I want to thank you for joining me on the channel Jane Reads. So today we're going to talk about the new authors I read in 2022. So I went through my list of all the authors I read in 2022, and I did not include any of the nonfiction biography or novella collections that I read. So these are all ones that I read full-length books by in the fiction category. Okay, so there were 11 new to me authors that I read in 2022. I'm going to start at the beginning of the year, so January, and kind of go through them as I discover them, read them from January to December. Okay, so the very first new to me author was Jessica Scarlett. So I read A Lily in Disguise and A Lord of Many Masks. I had these on my Kindle Unlimited subscription, and it is books 1 and book 2 of the Wycliffe family. I never read anything by her before. I mean, that's the same for all these authors I'm going to talk about. It is a historical fiction, and I gave both books 4 stars. There is a third book in this series, but my subscription had run out, and I'm trying to work through the books that I own before I renew my subscription, but I do plan on reading book 3, which is A Lady on the Chase. So that is an author that I will continue to look for. I'm pretty sure she only has the 3 books out right now, but yes, I will be kind of looking out and pick up more by her. So then author number 2 is Becky Doughty. Doughty? I don't know how to say her last name. I read Juliette and the Monday Mandates, which is book 1 of the Guffinson Girls series. I rated this book 3 stars, and I do not plan on continuing the series. And I did not connect with it. I just didn't like the flow of it. I didn't like the characters. But yeah, so for me, that just wasn't an author that I fell in love with. But if you have read this author and there is a book by her that you really liked, please let me know in the comments below, and I will give her a second try. Okay, author number 3 is Jaime Jo Wright. I read The Curse of Misty Wayfair. I rated this one 3 stars as well. I just really struggled with the storyline, and I'm really not sure if this author is for me or not. Now, I know that people really enjoy her, but I think she's a very hit or miss author for some people, or maybe has hit or miss books. I know some people, this is one of their favorite books by her, and others are kind of agree with me and didn't really get into it. So, yeah. I did have to pull this out of my unhaul pile in order to show you this book. So it will be going back into my unhaul because I don't plan on keeping books that I rate 3 or less. But again, if you have a book by her that you really, really enjoyed, leave it in the comments below because I would be willing to try another one from her. Okay, author number 4 is Grace Hitchcock. So I read The White City. It is another historical fiction. And again, I gave it 3 stars. I really liked the premise of the story, but I just didn't connect with the characters. I don't know. Or I didn't get the mystery aspect. I really liked the romance side of it, but the mystery aspect of the story was lacking for me. Again, if you have a recommendation by her, I would be willing to try another one. I'm really dissing historical fiction here, and I don't mean to be. The 5th author is Shelley Gray. I read The Secrets of Sloane House. This one is another historical fiction set in Chicago, just like The White City. And I think I read these very close together, and they're both set around the same time period. And I think that really threw me. I should not have read them close together to each other. But this was one I could not get on board with the characters. I just struggled through it. Again, I had to pull it from my unhaul pile to be able to show you the book. Okay, number 6. I read this one on my Kindle. It is Alison Strobel, and I read Composing Amelia. Again, I rated it 3 stars. I really liked one of the characters, but the other character just really annoyed me. I just could not get behind the other character. And that really took me out of the story and just did not make me want to root for the relationship. Okay, number 7. As I said, I'm really dissing historical fiction. However, I have some good stuff coming up. So, Joanna Davidson Politano. I read A Rumored Fortune. I rated this one 2 stars. I did not enjoy this story. I just did not understand what was happening, or felt like I just couldn't, like it jumped and I just couldn't really follow it very well. And it's supposed to be like a treasure hunt, but they're not really hunting for a treasure, is what it felt like to me. But this is another author that I've heard a lot of good things from. Did I just pick up the wrong story for me? Is there another one that I should try by her? Because again, I've heard a lot of people really enjoy some of her books, and I just did not connect with this one. So, yeah. Okay, author number 8 is Sarah Sundin. Now, if you've been following me, you know that Sarah Sundin has become a favorite author for me. So there, a historical fiction author that I found that I just fell in love with. In fact, I read 4 of her books in 2022, and I've already read 1 this year. So the very first book that I read by her was A Distant Melody, which is book number 1 of the Wings of Glory series. When I finished this book, it was the only book that I owned by her. When I finished this book, I immediately bought book 2 and book 3 of this series so that I can continue the story. I didn't care that they were regular price. Yeah, that's how much I fell in love with the story and her writing, and I've not been disappointed. After I read those 3 books, I think I read something else in between, but then I was gifted Until Leaves Fall in Paris by my best friend, so I read this one, and this one is another 5-star book for me. I just absolutely fell in love with. In fact, I picked up another book by her, When Twilight Breaks. I have not read this one yet. It is on my TBR. I think I bought this one very shortly after I finished this one. And I just finished reading The Sound of Light, which came out on February the 7th. So she is one I'm going to continue to read more from. Then author number 9 is Stephenia McGee. I read The Secrets of Emberwild. This one I rated 3 stars. I did not really enjoy the story. I found it moved very slow and not much really happened. So again, and I'm sorry to say, it was another historical fiction. But we continue with historical fiction. And then author number 10 is Elizabeth Camden. So I read To the Farthest Shores, and I rated this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed this story. In fact, while I was reading this one, I found this one at a thrift store. So I picked it up, and I actually already had these 3. I don't know if they're in the right order or not, but A Gilded Lady, The Prince of Spies, and The Spice King. I think they're totally not in the right order at all. This is book number 1. So I'm really glad that I did enjoy this one because I already had these 3 on my shelf. So I'm glad that she's another author I will be reading more from. And then book number 11, or author number 11, is Judy Baer. Again, I don't know if I'm saying that name right. I read Love Finds You in Frost, Minnesota. This was a contemporary romance, and I gave it 3 stars. I just felt it was a very cheesy storyline, and I just did not connect with the characters, or I couldn't get behind the characters and the relationship, and just the names of the characters just threw me off. I did talk about that one in my December wrap-up, so if you want to kind of see for more thoughts, that will be linked below. So I read 11 new to me authors. As I mentioned, a lot of them were historical fiction. I'm really trying to find more historical fiction authors that I like, so that's kind of why a majority of them were historical fiction, because I know what suspense authors I really enjoy. These are the 2 authors that I added to my list to kind of follow and read more from. And I have now read 5 books by her. I've read 1 and have 4 other books on my shelf. So yeah. So as I said, if you have any recommendations from the authors that I mentioned that I didn't really enjoy, leave them in the comments below because I would check them out. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. I'd love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and have a good day. Bye.